Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Games on Quick Hotfix. Today we are showcasing some Mario Pokemon games. We've got Pokemon TCG here. Before we get into it, just a quick reminder for you all that Back to Black 2025, the upgrade to UBAF, will be live February 6th through 9th here on the Games Done Quick Twitch channel, benefiting Race Forward. You can catch the action and support an incredible cause. You can type !BTB in chat to see the event schedule. And if you want to find out more about the all-black speedrunning community, type !BAF in Twitch chat. If you're crafty, prize submissions are open from now until February 1st. With all that said, I'll hand it over to our runner and commentator. Let them take it away.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Toronite. This is Pokemon Trading Card Games, the All Battles category, a somewhat newish category that was introduced a little under a year ago that I want to say I was essentially the pioneer of. And I'm very excited to be back on Hotfix to showcase it a second time. But of course, I am not alone. I have with me another phenomenal runner in Pinecone 606, who is going to be my comms for tonight.
Hey, thank you very much. Yeah, no, I'm Pinecone 606. I've been running Pokemon Trading Card Game in various categories for 5 years now. Though I have less experience in all battles than Toronite, who pretty much has defined the category. So you have the subject matter expert here, but I have tons and tons of experience with the game in general, and I'd be happy to help out here.
Yep, and of course, as is tradition at this point, we are going to name our character perfectly. It perfectly fits within the character limit, Hotfix. And so with that, we are ready to roll in 3, 2, 1. Go. So, this is Pokemon TCG. For those of you who don't know what TCG is, it's essentially, a trading card version of the Pokemon games that you all know and love. It's essentially, it works as this. You have a deck full of Pokemon, and you use energy cards to build up a resource in order to be able to pay those resource costs in order to attack, and you try to knock out your opponent's Pokemon. You are able to collect prize cards when you knock out a Pokemon. First, collect all the prize cards from their prize pile wins the duel, and it's pretty much as simple as that. All Battles category is a new category where it it basically gives TCG speedrunning a second completionist type of category. We have all cards category, which is collect every single card of the game. But I'm thinking to myself, like, well, I'm sure we got to do something a little bit more than that. I'm sure we got more completionist type categories. And the idea of all battles, it was kind of floated around for some time before it was ever actually made into the category. But it wasn't until late 2023, early 2024, where I essentially was like, you know what? I'm going to do a run by myself and see kind of where this goes. And it's quickly becoming one of my favorite speedrunning categories in this game. So we do have a tutorial right now that normally it would take about 8 minutes to actually get through. However, we're going to do a very nifty little trick that Pinecone will explain called Dual Escape.
Sure, yes. Yeah, Dual Escape is a glitch that we found in approximately 2019. And it essentially allows us to crash the battle system. When a Pokemon battle runs code out of bounds in this game, the most likely outcome is that it throws you back to the overworld. And when it does that, there's a variable that keeps track of whether or not you won or lost your most recent battle.
There we go, first try.
And we do the escape like that first try by hitting down +A on that menu screen. It defaults to win. So the game is like, oh, whoa, what happened? Oh, I guess you won that battle. All right, cool. And it immediately ends. There's an entire category, our any percent no ace category, where you essentially complete every battle that way. However, that's not a very interesting speedrun, as it doesn't involve any kind of game mechanics whatsoever. So we mostly use that to skip the tutorial. Officially on the leaderboards, timing for the speedrun starts after the tutorial skip, as like for legacy reasons. But yeah, being able to skip the tutorial is a handy way to save about 5 minutes in the speedrun.
And
up next, there's going to be another trick right now that called mailbox manipulation. So the game gives you booster packs in the form of emails. Somehow an email can give you physical cards. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but by using a timer, a millisecond timer to open the mail screen on a particular frame or within a particular set of frames, you can influence what the contents of that booster pack will be. So what Toronite did there is did a soft reset to reset the RNG, then waited a set amount of time, then entered the overworld, ran to the computer, and is now trying again because the first booster pack was not quite successful.
Yeah,
and we'll see how this one goes.
that was a couple of frames late. Now, here's the thing. I'm using an iPhone timer. Don't try this at home. We're trying to see if we can get a Hitmonchan early. There we go for second try.
There we go. Nicely done. Yes. Yeah, there's a 5-frame window where you can get basically 5 frames in a row will guarantee you a Hitmonchan in the rare. And the Bulbasaur and Friends deck starts out with a Hitmonchan, but having a second one allows you to reduce the amount of time that you'll spend shuffling the deck and thus have a much more consistent early game battle. So that mailbox manipulation really adds a lot of consistency to the run. So what you're seeing Toro do right here is this guy will give you energy cards if you're almost out. But he does not check what's already in your decks. So he first took a few energy out of his inventory to get the guy to give him some energy. Then he made a second deck consisting entirely of energy in order to double dip and get a lot of free cards, which will allow us to meet all of the energy needs we need for the rest of the battle and have like a big supply of filler cards that are easy to add and remove.
And if you've kind of been noticing just a little bit just right now, the overworld is kind of non-existent. It's basically a bunch of small little places, and we can hop in pretty much go to any place that we want almost instantaneously, which does give us a lot of freedom in terms of figuring out, okay, where do we want to go? Routing just kind of becomes an experiment of research and just kind of thinking outside the box, imagining what is most comfortable for you. And the cool thing is that you really don't lose a lot of time if you try to go to a bunch of different places to kind of fulfill what you want to do for the category. And so we're going to be taking 2 trips into this place called the Fire Club. And thank goodness, a first try.
Oh, nice. First turn KO here on the first battle. Didn't even have time to talk to Jessica about Jessica. One of the Fighting Club battles, she gives out Coliseum booster packs that are more likely to have a fighting type rare like Hitmonchan or Dugtrio. And she has a lot of turn 1 KOs, so she's a popular choice for her first fight. The routing in this game is very much up to runner preference. There is no consensus in really any glitchless category as to what the exact best route is. You need to beat 8 club masters. Well, in this category, you need to beat every battle in the game and then go to the Pokémon Dome and complete the Elite Four and beat your rival to collect legendary Pokemon cards down the run. But the order you do those battles is pretty much entirely up to you. There's some gym leaders are locked behind battles with their minions. Other gym leaders have some requirements. So there's a few constraints, but not that many. So what Toro's doing here by battling Heather in the grass gym, this is another battle with a lot of 1 Pokemon and 2 Pokemon KOs, and also gives you Coliseum booster packs, which are pretty much of the 4 kinds of booster packs in the game. Coliseum is the one that has all of the good cards in it. But by using Hitmonchan, able to do these quick 20 damage with 1 energy attacks against these colorless Pokemon, all weak to fighting. We're trying to get these kind of 1 or 2 turn donk battles. Heather has been a little bit less cooperative than Jessica here, but still not too much trouble, is able to end this battle in 3 prizes.
And one thing about it is that if you kind of may have noticed very quickly at the very start, this is actually the second attempt at the fight. The first fight, we saw that there were 3 Pokemon on her bench, meaning that we've had to face 4 Pokemon in total. And so one cool thing about this is that we can pretty much just reset fights and it would be instantaneous. And in a lot of cases, when we see a fight that we can, with an experience, we can tell, wait a minute, this fight is probably unwinnable. I don't want to deal with that. Just like that. Very rare. Wow. It was going to be a 5 versus 1. The odds of that happening is like 3%?
Pretty low. I have them right here, actually. Where are they? 5 is a 0.3% chance, fortunately. So we want to reset out of those. It's very fast. The motion on the screen, as you know, the menuing is instantaneous and the movement is barely existent. So it can be a little challenging to follow the run. But what you want to look for at the very beginning of the run is the top of the screen, specifically like the top right and then going left. You'll get a brief glimpse of the opponent's bench, which indicates how many Pokemon there are there. For example, we saw 2 on the bench there, so 3 total, which is not terrible. It's not the best, but not the worst. That's a pretty average outcome, about 25% of the time for Michael. Of course, these odds vary from fight to fight based on how many basic Pokemon that the opponent has. Basics are the only ones that you can put on the bench at the start of the game. Sometimes, we'll reset a fight until it's one-on-one because that's a relatively likely outcome. Other times, we'll be happy to take an easy fight, even if it's a little bit longer, like this one. Pokemon like Kangaskhan, not particularly threatening, though this opposing Hitmonchan is a little bit scary because with 1 more energy... Oh no, guess not. All right. Fortunately, Toronite has that backup Hitmonchan on the bench ready to go, so we simply have to power through these 40 damage attacks, which is pretty strong for a basic Pokemon, and the high HP of Hitmonchan also providing the durability needed to grind through all of these Pokemon. One of the reasons in all of these initial battles that we heavily rely on Hitmonchan, other than the fact that we start with a Hitmonchan and then manipulate for a second one, is that these, single energy attack for 20 damage, 3 energy attack for 40, and fighting being the most common weakness in the game means that Hitmonchan has the best chance for lucky, quick wins, which, in the speed run is pretty important. Up here we have the Lightning Gym. For the Lightning Gym, we have Jennifer is by far the hardest because Jennifer has 1 Pokemon, has 12 Pokemon. All of them are Pikachu, but 4 of them are Flying Pikachu. So literally a third of the Pokemon in her deck resist fighting, and thus we basically can't beat with this deck. In addition to that, Jennifer also has some annoying cards, has 4 Pokeballs, has many other cards to help draw in order to increase the chances of having multiple Pikachus appear. Toro's playing with fire a little bit, staying in on a longer battle against Jennifer because at any point Flying Pikachu could appear and basically end this fight. However, Toro has persevered, we have cleared 3 Pikachu, and Jennifer is taken care of. A common pain point early in the run, so some good luck there.
Yeah, there was so I see someone in the chat asking, like, how do you track which trainer we fought? So thankfully, one thing about this game is that the majority of these fights, they're already required. You kind of see that, like, a lot of these opponents, a lot of these gym leaders or club masters, I guess the proper nomenclature, is that they are there, but they will tell you, hey, you can't fight me until you do X amount of thing, until you collect X amount of cards, or you beat all my minions, or you get X amount of medals. So a lot of these fights are already required to begin with. It's only, I want to say, 20 extra fights this category adds. And some of them are going to be ones that we will encounter regardless of what happens throughout the fight. There's going to, so the rules for this category, and I worded this very specifically when I first made this category. You must defeat every single unique deck, not opponent, unique deck in the opponent in the game. And there's there's 2 reasons why I said that. Is because there is 1 NPC, or actually no, 2 NPCs where this can potentially where this essentially applies. We're gonna get into those fights very soon. Well, actually not very soon, but we're gonna get into
in a little while.
In a little while.
But yeah, so basically in this game, each gym leader has 3 minions, and for many of the gym leaders, they require you to beat all of the minions. For example, in the Lightning Club, when we were battling Jennifer, Brandon, Nicholas there, we had to, even in any percent glitchless, you have to battle all 3 of them just to be able to unlock the gym leader fight you need. It's only a couple of gyms where you actually, maybe 3 or 4 of them, where there are any optional battles. So adding those is part of what makes an all battles run. There's also the other key ones to watch out for are there's a training aid. What's his name? Darn, I always forget his name. The one of 3 decks.
Oh, Aaron.
Aaron. Aaron has 3 different decks that are designed to be like, oh yes, if you're learning the game, you can play against me. They're like framed as easy battles, but there's actually a lot of different type coverage there. It's not a very exploitable fight for really any of those 3 decks. So Aaron adds some time. There's an optional side mode called the Challenge Cup that we'll be fighting near the middle of the run. That also has a unique Ronald deck that we have to beat. And so this basically just adds, make sure you see every possible duel in the game. And so that's a more friendly version of 100%. Here you'll see that Toronite added a Charmander to this deck for this battle against Amanda. Amanda, despite only having 3 prizes and being presented as an easy trainer, has both a lot of water Pokemon and Scyther, who's weak to fire, and a lot of low HP Pokemon. So there's no one Pokemon that can simply handle everything Amanda does. So this is one of the few fights in the game where we'll have more than one color and evolution line in order to beat the category. So we use both Charmander and Hitmonchan. In that case, we only needed to see Charmander, but simply it's a consistency play to add the Charmander there. It makes it a little bit easier.
I have to come back here because I need to talk to this one NPC because it will trigger a boss fight for much later in the run that we wouldn't be able to access. Which I think everyone is going to really, really enjoy this upcoming boss fight.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure I'd call him a boss, a character, a certain, definitely a battle. I guess it is 6 prizes technically.
Versions of a roaming boss. I think
sure, yeah.
Not all bosses have to be difficult, I will say.
That is true. So all bosses except for this one. By the way, later on when we get to them, for me, what makes a boss, other than like giving you a gym badge or whatever, is some of the Pokemon trainers literally cheat in this game, and we'll discuss those when we get to our first gym leader battle. But they will actually rig the deck, and they will guarantee certain outcomes in their opening hand and top cards. So if you ever think the game is not quite fair, is maybe giving you some bad luck, yes, it is. The game is working against you, and that's just something speedrunners have to deal with in this category. So here we were in the Rock Club, battling Matthew here, because there's a couple different grass types that are good for the Rock Club. In this case, we have went with Nidorino, because Nidorino is pretty easy to get and has a high ceiling with a big 50 damage attack, and most everything in the Rock Club is weak to grass. The downside of Nidorino is unfortunately it doesn't resist fighting, so it can actually take damage, and it is an evolution card, so we need to be able to actually draw and play the Nidorino. If we pulled a Scyther in our first several packs, that would probably be the more optimal Pokemon for this battle, but Nidorino is kind of our safe backup strat. That also has potentially a higher ceiling if you get some lucky coin flips with Nidoran's attack.
And in addition, Nidorino is one of the most common evolution Pokemon you can have, at least like by doing this little of the run up to this point. So you'll be able.
Absolutely,
it's very easy to get 4 Nidorino. It'd be very surprising if you don't have 4 Nidorinos by this point in the game. And we're not even. Let's see, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are on our 9th fight. So just to kind of illustrate, how easy it is. Only 9 fights, and we already have 4 Nidorinos.
Right. So having a strong Pokemon that you're pretty much guaranteed to have as your backup, in case you don't get the rarer Scyther, is a reliable strat. I think only, of the thousands of times I've attempted the game, I think I only didn't have enough Nidorinos once. I had to use Pinsir, which was not fun. And over here, we're dealing with Andrew.
Boy, Andrew is a character. People might have noticed that every single character in this game has a deck name. This one has the name of this deck is the Blistering Pokemon deck. And you would think, okay, he has Ponyta, which fire, of course, blistering. Not sure where rock fits into blistering, but let it slide. I want someone in chat. I mean this. Someone in chat explain to me where does Jinx fall into this blistering. Jinx is a psychic type, has no moves where the text has anything resembling the concept of, say, fire or anything called blistering. But Jinx is in this deck, and believe me, it is actually a really bad, it's sort of big nuisance because Jinx has 70 HP, and unfortunately, that makes the fight very tough because Nidorino cannot take it out in one hit. Neither can Scyther, even with the boosted attack with Swords Dance. So it's a very tough fight.
Yeah, Jinx appears in a couple fights in the game, and every time Jinx is present, it's a bit of a nuisance, just because that very high HP stat, and while it doesn't necessarily have a lot of attacking power directly, its attack involves multiple coin flips, and as you've noticed probably so far in the run, every coin flip is about 1.5 seconds or so of time. which really adds up, especially when you're waiting for your opponent to flip the coin rather than doing it yourself. And so we try to avoid coin flips whenever we can, and Jinx often makes that difficult. But after some tough battles here, finally there's just one turn here to get the KO. Yeah, Andrew's a deceptively tough fight, which is why I'm glad that he's not in the any percent run at all. But he's definitely one of the tougher fights in all battles, especially in the early game, just because of all the different types and that he carries. Over here we got Ryan up here.
Yeah,
you know, another standard rock gym battle. Yeah, not as bad as Andrew.
Ryan's whole gimmick is, I think it's like fossils and stuff you can like excavate, which is pretty neat. But because we're dealing with the original 151, there are certain liberties, I would say, that kind of makes you wonder, like, it doesn't really fit the theme of the deck. Oh my god! Wow, fantastic.
25% chance of getting those 2 coin flips needed to get the KO there, but you're able to sand attack, which is Sandshrew's attack, ends up doing a stalling maneuver that makes you have to flip for your attack to even work, which Nidoran Mail already has to flip for its only attack to try to work. Nidoran Mail is kind of a high risk, high reward play if you're attacking on those first few turns, because if you get heads, so actually what you saw there, Pokeball is a trainer that has a 50-50 chance of letting you look for a Pokemon. But the continued duel mechanism in this game is essentially like a quick save, kind of save state type feature built into the game. And if you flip a coin with a card, but then soft reset the game before the coin flip dialogue resolves, you can essentially undo the action that you did to prompt that coin flip. So what you'll see Toro do is, you'll see if Toro gets a heads, like, you know, here he may go back and get the Pokeball if he doesn't have an Inarena already. In this case, he does. Or if he tries the Pokeball and gets tails, he'll soft reset and save it for later, hoping to get a different coin flip later. The continued duel system is being able to find the right times to abuse it, to be able to rewind a little bit in a battle, and finding the times to just ignore what happened and press on. This is a lot of the like snap judgment and skill of this game, is being able to make the right decision to figure out which will save you more time, with really just reacting to what you have in front of you.
Speaking of, this is a incredibly risky. Actually, wait, no. Can I? Well, I've already.
You already played the Gust of Wind.
I already committed. I wasn't. Wow, I am having the worst luck with.
Yeah, this is not great, because Dugtrio is one of the strongest, and you're just bailing out. Yeah, Dugtrio, you'll actually see very prominently used in our decks very soon, because Dugtrio has 40 and 70 base damage attacks, which, especially combined with weaknesses to fighting, the 70 damage attack can potentially 1 or 2 at KO any Pokemon, almost any Pokemon in the game. Unfortunately, when Dugtrio is being used against us here, especially with no fighting resistance and only 60 HP on an Inarena, we're a little bit fragile. And so if Dugtrio gets fully set up and we aren't able to take out Dugtrio in one hit, then that's curtains for us, and occasionally you just got to restart and try again.
Yeah, it's been very weird that more than half of the deck is fighting it is grass energy. So it is shocking that I have not been able, that I didn't draw a single grass energy to make this a little bit more bearable and that last time.
Yeah, unfortunately, unlike the gym leaders who cheat, the gym leader gene we're playing here, in addition to, as well as the Grandmasters and Ronald, any of these 6 prize fights, they will actually guarantee that their starting hand has 2 basic Pokemon, and that the top 5 cards of their deck also has 2 basic Pokemon, and they also guarantee the same thing for energy cards. That means the opponent will always have up to 4 energy in their first 5 turns or more. But there's no such protection for us, unfortunately. So even if your deck is half energy, sometimes you just get unlucky and you have to take what the RNG gives you. Fortunately, with the fast menuing in this game, you're able to react, reset battles, and kind of get to a better starting point. And that's a lot of the nuance and skill of this game, is knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them, knowing when to, you know, play the battle you've got, and knowing when to move on. Over here, we're going to be editing to an Electabuzz deck, which we use for a couple of fights, mostly in the water gym, though here we're in the science gym, my favorite type of Pokemon, science.
Yeah, there were we haven't actually gotten into it. There's only 7 types in this entire game. It is grass, fire, water, psychic, lightning, fighting, and colorless, which is flying and normal type Pokemon. Yeah, 7. And there's 8 medals in this entire game. So you're gonna.
And there's no colorless medal either. Yeah. So we had to use rock as like half of fighting, but then they needed one more, and I guess they picked science for some reason.
Which
so you'll see here.
Which I'm fine at the
you'll see your Toro.
I'm fine as the team, but boy, it really makes you wonder. Boy, they really have a lot of ideas ready for the first one.
I'd like very loosely say it's kind of poison. It's kind of a poison gym or bug or something. I don't know. In any case, what you may have noticed at the beginning of the battle, the mysterious fossil that Toro played, that is essentially a fake Pokemon, a trainer card that masquerades as a Pokemon of 10 HP. And by playing that up front, you can always discard Mysterious Fossil in the middle of a turn if you want, so you're never stuck with it. And so whenever you draw a Mysterious Fossil in your opening hand, the safe thing to do is to play it first and play your intended basic on the bench. That way, if you don't, if your turn 1 attack will go to something that is disposable rather than your main Pokemon. It's just a slight optimization for more safety. So after Joseph is out of the way, we're going to go to the Water Club, which is absolutely decimated by Electabuzz. That has 2 energy attack that can do up to 40 damage if you hit heads, which will 1-hit KO almost every water type Pokemon in this gym. So except for Slowpoke, Psychic, yeah, no, every water type Pokemon in this gym. So I guess if you get Poliwhirl, Poliwrath, but if you get to that far, something went wrong.
Poliwag also. Poliwag itself is also weak to only weak to grass.
True, but it is 40 hit points, so you can get that one hit.
Fair, yeah.
So you really want to take out Poliwag in 1 hit. So here we've got a 50% chance of this battle ending right here, and we hit the heads. So congratulations, nice, very fast battle. Sarah. The battle we just did is actually one of the easiest fights in the game. She has only 2 prizes, very basic Pokemon. It's pretty much an automatic win, and gives you a Coliseum booster pack too. So more good cards, what we like to see. Up here we have Josh. Josh is guarding Amy. Basically you have to beat Josh in order to get through to Amy, and also, because of this category. Josh has 18 basic Pokemon, the second most of any battle in the game. So it's very common for this battle to go to 4 prizes, both because of that and then also because of Krabby, who has a 1 energy attack that will summon more basic Pokemon to the bench.
Really, I can knock this out in one go.
Yes, you can. Yep. Plus Power, arguably the most important trainer in the game, adds 10 damage to any attack. And being able to turn a 2-hit KO into a 1-hit KO can be a tremendous time save of anywhere from like 10 to 45 seconds or more, especially if that 1-hit KO prevents the opponent from placing another Pokemon on the bench, so you can have cascading time save with that. So plus powers are important to try to maximize. We start out with 2 in Bulbasaur, and then in Coliseum booster packs, we've been trying to keep an eye out to see if we get more. I think we have 3 right now, if I remember correctly. So hopefully we find a 4th one somewhere.
Yeah, you probably know this more than I do. I don't think Gyarados. We had a double Gyarados Coliseum booster pack on Sarah. I don't think those give out plus power, right?
You can have plus power in Gyarados. Okay. It's not as common. The way the RNG works is a little weird, where certain Pokemon are kind of correlated to be in booster packs with one another. So a booster pack like booster packs with like Electabuzz or Dugtrio are like less likely to have plus power than like Hitmonchan and stuff like that. The nuance of this is very hard to quickly explain, but and ultimately you get whatever cards you get. You have to react to whatever you're getting and just play on. Here we have Amy trying to go for a quick kill. So as I mentioned, gym leaders start with 2 basic Pokemon and then have 2 in the next 5 cards. So we have a time pressure here where we really want to KO these 2 Pokemon before Amy draws them. So we actually had a 2 prize fight here. It's very rare for a gym leader to have for you to have to be able to win the fight in less than 4 prizes. So Toro was able to make a huge time save here by getting that turn 3 KO on the Squirtle and Goldeen there.
This was actually like a really, really good Water Club segment, and just to kind of show how tough the getting world record in this category is. This is like about as good of a Water Club segment as you can possibly hope for. Guess what? I lost 12 seconds in that. I lost.
Right, yeah, you could have maybe saved 30 seconds with a luckier Josh, but you had a perfect Sarah and Amy. And so Yeah, there can be easily 3 to 5 minutes of variance in the water gym alone, and in any percent in particular, it's a common reset point just because of the status effects that Amy's Pokemon have, the chance for a long battle against Joshua, all sorts of things here. So right now we're in a fun battle against our rival Ronald. We have to win all battles in this category. So actually at any percent, we intentionally lose this fight. Because it's faster to lose a fight than to win it, but the rules of all battles require us to win this fight. So we now have to actually contend with Ronald's 6 prize deck, and these rival fights are triggered after the 2nd and 5th gym leader completion. Unfortunately, the frame we got there was not particularly favorable. Diglett was about to get KO'd. Diglett's a high-powered Pokemon that evolves into Dugtrio, which has the ability to essentially handle anything in the game. But unfortunately, the downside of Diglett and Dugtrio are the relatively low HP, especially for Diglett, and so you really need the battle to go well very early. And here, got a potion, luckily, to make this battle playable, and a backup Diglett, so that'll help us a little bit.
I'm just trying to see, can this... Okay, no, he's gonna get knocked out, so what I like to do, in some cases, use a second Diglett as basically a sacrificial lamb, and give myself another turn and hope that things will work out for the better.
Yeah, hopefully you draw a Dugtrio or a plus power here, and you did get the plus power, so that fortunately did buy you an extra turn that you needed.
Oh, and there we go. There's a
Dugtrio. Perfect.
Oh my God.
All right, so now we're relatively smooth sailing in this battle. Yeah, especially because Growlithe needs 2 energy to attack. Earthquake, 1 hits Growlithe, and now we are through Ronald. Being able to win that battle only taking 2 prizes is also remarkable, given that Ronald is also a dirty cheater. And so...
and also, he's not just a dirty cheater. He doesn't know how to actually build a deck. A common thing is that he will put a lot of quote-unquote high-powered Pokemon, or Pokemon with like strong evolutions, to the point where it actually hurts his deck's energy, because you have like 4 different Pokemon types, and now it dilutes your energy pool, because you're not going to be able to draw the necessary energy cards you need in order to actually be able to attack. So what you see a lot of times is he will brick it. Like I'm talking about, you can build a house with the amount of bricks he can pull, but there are but even still, he can be especially annoying because of how many Pokemon he can put out.
Right, yeah, and unfortunately, like, in this game, you'd think, oh, well, we don't want our opponents to be that good at the game. We want easy battles, right? Well, we want quick battles more than easy battles, and Ronald, especially in the second rival fight, does not make the battles quick. Loves to stall to have a chance at his very high-powered evolution Pokemon. He needs, all the time he can stall for, and unfortunately, stalling hurts us a lot in a speedrun, as you'd expect. Right now, we are in the Lightning Club battling Isaac, the gym leader. The main threat in this battle is paralysis. Otherwise, none of these lightning Pokemon can do any damage to Dugtrio, or at least the AI thinks so. And I guess Tauros can attack Dugtrio, but with our 70 hit points, this is pretty much an automatic win here. It's merely a matter of avoiding paralysis and thus preventing the fight from going on too long. So, we're less battling like to win the fight and more battling for a quick fight. Luckily, that Isaac was despite being 6 prizes, that felt like a 45-second Isaac. That was pretty good. I don't have a timer in front of me for that, but
that was about 152.
I mean, for 6 prizes, not bad.
No, it's pretty solid.
So we're actually going to use Dugtrio for more battles, not just where there's a type advantage. The Fire Club, you would think, oh, we want to use water energy for the Fire Club, right? Well, Ken actually has a large number of high HP colorless Pokemon. You got Snorlax, you got Kangaskhan, you got Chansey, all of which have 90 or more hit points, and thus Dugtrio's Earthquake is needed to one-hit KO them. In addition, Dugtrio's Earthquake doing 70 base damage means it can 1 or 2-hit KO every fire Pokemon in the deck anyway. And the main name of the game here is making sure Diglett actually survives to the point of getting to Dugtrio. Growlithe here can do 20 damage with 2 energy. However, that potion is not a good play. I was about to explain that the AI will not attach energy if the Pokemon's about to die, but if it heals, then it will. Defender is like a potion in advance. It prevents 20 damage being done to Diglett, which is really good for not dying right here. And we're hoping that in the next turn, we'll be able to pull something. The plus power will allow us to guarantee the KO here, but...
This is Honestly, this is really risky. Okay. This is really risky. I'm just banking on I'm basically using Energy Surge. The one thing that I use Energy Surge right now for is I used it for scouting out the deck, with the way it works is when you're looking at your deck, the top of the deck is a loss.
Oh no. Yeah, so that fight was a loss. So what Toro was trying to do there, basically, you can use the continue duel feature along with cards that search your deck in order for you to observe the current order of your deck right now. As long as you reset the game before you finish playing the trainer card that is looking at your deck, it will not shuffle the deck, and thus you'll know exactly what's coming. So you can play the energy search and be like, oh, is a Dugtrio coming? And if a Dugtrio is coming, then you just reset the game. And if Dugtrio is not in your top few cards, then you finish playing the energy search, get a shuffle, and hope for the best. Unfortunately, luck wasn't on our side there, and we'll need to give it another go here, hopefully. And at least we have a second Diglett now, so we have a little bit more insurance. But we're still looking for that Dugtrio, who would really make this battle pretty much one and done.
And there's another reason why we sometimes use stuff like Energy Surge, and that's a no. But
Tails on the Pokeball, unfortunately.
However, now we can use Energy Surge to basically re-roll the RNG, and that was also on.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so the RNG in this game is very interesting. Like a lot of Game Boy games and old NES games and stuff, RNG starts from a common seed and then increments every frame, but only in the overworld. Once you enter a duel in the game, the RNG is frozen until something needs a random number. It is held in place. And the reason for that is basically to make the continue duel feature work. They didn't want kids who are playing the game at home to flip a coin, get tails, then reset, and then try again immediately. They wanted the same RNG result to happen every time. However, that is also exploitable. The continue duel feature is fundamentally exploitable. So we can see that the next coin flip queued up for us is tails, and then reset and go back. We need to be able to change that coin flip to give that Pokeball another try. So by using a card that shuffles the deck, that also increments the RNG and gives us another attempt at the coin flip. Doesn't guarantee a heads, but at least gives us another shot. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, but it is a very cool trick, and I wanted to make sure we explained it because it'll probably come up several more times in the run.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll figure out a way to keep scrambling. We call the build it trick advancing the RNG, to be specific.
Yeah, RNG incrementing. And it's really important to be able to identify these opportunities. So all of these little quick looks at the hand, Toronite is keeping a mental note of exactly what trainers he has and what opportunities he might have to increment the RNG to get out of jams. Here we're going to see, there's a Pokeball.
We'll see. Part of the cards.
Cross our fingers.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's
no, we still have a...
Oh, there's another Diglett. Okay, there's a chance. And luckily, Diglett does have free retreat, so there is an out, which we can just use these sacrificial Pokemon to kind of sit there and buy us some time as we draw some cards, hopefully, or at least maybe a coin flip will change. We'll see.
Come on. Oh my goodness.
Whether or not the RNG increments, only certain opponent events will increment the RNG, and it's often hard to observe. If the opponent is deciding between playing an energy card between two equal events, or the opponent uses a card that flips a coin or whatever. Otherwise, the RNG might stay the same for several turns, actually. So we have to keep trying that Pokeball every turn and hope that the opponent just needed to make a decision at some point that randomized something. But fortunately, we did get 6 prizes, even without seeing Dugtrio here, thanks to the pure perseverance. Took several tries, unfortunately, to beat Ken. Sometimes that's just how it goes.
That is unbelievable.
Marathon luck.
I don't think that's ever happened to me. I don't think that's ever happened to me in a marathon run like this, where we basically go through this long in a single fight without getting to see Dugtrio even once. That's shocking.
Right. It's not like you have only one. You have 3 Dugtrio, which is a good number. You only start with 1 Dugtrio, but finding 2 more in booster packs is actually is mildly lucky, and so it's not seeing any of them in the several attempts at that battle is challenging. So now we're on to the Psychic Gym. Stephanie is a Psychic type gym leader, and you might be wondering, why are we battling a Psychic type with Hitmonchan? That's because for both Stephanie and Murray, there are colorless types in the deck which resist Psychic, which is Psychic's weakness is itself. But the AI is basically drawn like a moth to a flame when it sees a fighting type. It will be like, yes, type advantage. Time to send in all our weak Psychic Pokemon that aren't evolved yet and have low HP. So as long as we're able to tough out their attacks, using a fighting type will allow us to take care of more threatening Pokemon before the stalling Pokemon. The reason we don't use Dugtrio for that is because Dugtrio is not weak to Psychic, and thus it can't bait as easily. We do actually play with Dugtrio to kill those big colorless Pokemon, but you'll see Hitmonchan used as Psychic bait throughout the next 2 fights.
Wow, here's a little fun fact about Stephanie. So Stephanie is one of 2 non-boss characters in this entire game that you are not allowed to fight until you reach a certain medal flag. Stephanie will not let you challenge her until you actually until you get 2 medals. There is another character that actually I found this out last night. Shout outs to Welsher TA, the world record holder of this category. Hopefully not for long, because I'm gonna try to go for it this year. He actually.
Oh, you two are neck and neck. It's any time.
He actually found out that there is another character. I think it's Daniel, who also has a medal flag that I did not know. But his medal flag is 1 medal, not 2. But that's 2 NPCs in the entire run, where you actually you are not allowed to do in the early game unless you.
Yeah, 2 optional NPCs. There are medal flags for other things. For example, Murray, the gym leader we're fighting now, is one of the biggest constraints on route design, because Murray you cannot challenge without at least 4 medals. And that creates a little bit of a headache in any percent in particular. But here, I guess we're running around so much, it's not a big deal.
How many times have we thought of a route on the Discord and we ultimately come to the conclusion asking the same question? But what about Murray?
Right, exactly. Dozens of times we're like, oh, it would be slightly more optimal. You know, we could save 2 deck edits if we do it this way, and we realize, oh, Murray's 4th, not 5th. We can't do that route. So Murray is a huge constraint, and basically forces, in the any percent run, it forces one of the double colorless fights to be before, like several duels before. So it ends up creating a bit more deck edit headache. Speaking of headaches, Murray is quite the headache of a battle here. Murray's deck is based on the Alakazam Pokemon Power damage swap and is designed to basically stall opponents out by setting up Mr. Mime, and Alakazam and Chansey. So if you let Murray get set up, he will waste more time than any battle in the entire game. So really the speedrunner's nemesis. And the challenge is that you need to kill all of these Pokemon before, or knock out all of these Pokemon before they have a chance to evolve. That's part of the reason we use Hitmonchan in this battle, because it'll bait out the 30 HP Abra before it evolves into a threatening Kadabra with a 50 damage attack, or the Alakazam that like locks us out of winning. The other reason we run Hitmonchan is because of Mr. Mime. Fortunately, we haven't run into that Pokemon yet, knock on wood, but Mr. Mime is 40. Oh no,
thanks,
I'm sorry,
Pinecone.
Commentator's Curse right there.
Thank you. Thanks.
So, and right after you lose the Hitmonchan too, it's not great. So Mr. Mime has a Pokemon power. Ooh, card pop. That has, you have 2+ power, actually. You can do it with Diglett.
Yes, it's going to take a bit of setup, but I can...
Yeah, it's going to be a pain. It's going to be a pain, but you can make it work. So the, right, but the 10 damage is actually going to be a problem.
This can...
Okay, so...
Heart of the cards?
I forgot to explain.
No heart of the... Well...
Right, I'm too invested in this fight.
Yeah, this will be interesting.
Right, so Mr. Mime's Pokemon power prevents any damage above 20. So if you attack with 20, 30 damage, 40 damage, any more than that, it'll become 0. So you have to use weak attacks against Mr. Mime. You can only 2-hit KO him. Hopefully we get a heads here. Nope, we do have a Professor Oak, so maybe. We need to find a Hitmonchan or a Diglett desperately. Oh, and energy removal will at least buy us a turn.
Yeah.
And a potion.
Oh, man.
We'll see. So Mr. Mime is literally the main reason that we run Hitmonchan, because it provides us a 2-hit KO option against Mr. Mime. Because Diglett can only do 10 damage at a time, so you need to use plus power for him. Mr. Mime is one of the biggest constraints of this entire battle. Finally, we get Hitmonchan. So that gives us an out for Mr. Mime, and there's only 1 Pokemon left. Oh, that was the last prize, actually. Dang.
You know what the funny thing?
Two brutal gym leader fights
here. The funny thing is, before I hit Professor Oak, I had Gust of Wind, and he put a Snorlax in there. So I don't think, doing the quick math, I don't think I would have lived long enough to be able to make that work. But it's just really funny how Murray gave us an out, and by putting in Snorlax in, and I lost the Gust of Wind because I had to try to figure out something.
Right. This game has so many quick decisions that you have to make in a millisecond. It is impossible to make every single decision like guaranteed to be optimal correct. If you run all the numbers and calculate everything you do, then that is that's just not possible. So mistakes are part of the run. It's part of speedrunning you have to live with. Although I think that one was more a missed opportunity with like the timing of the Professor Oak or whatever.
Oh wait, no. I managed to reset right before, so we are good. We're gonna do something a little wacky, which is try to see. Yeah, we are going to do a triple Professor Oak.
Professor Oak, yep. Another strong trainer card we haven't explained yet, by the way. Discard your hand, draw 7 cards. Being able to see and playing 3 or 4 of them in a row means that you've seen, half of your deck in one turn. So being able to really search, that's one other way to search for key cards we need. Having a run with 3 Professor Oaks is already a little bit lucky. So fortunately, we're able to pull that off.
Yeah, and of course, the first prize I collect is the Duck Trio, which means that whole strategy, that really cool strategy I had, ultimately is a moot point. 4 roses, a very immediate danger.
Right. You get the 1 hit here. Doduo is one of the more annoying Pokemon in Ronald 2 here, actually, because of the fighting weakness. You really need to commit to setting up your Doug Trio in order to have a chance to beat Doduo, and using all these coin flips in the meantime is quite annoying.
Thankfully, we have... Okay, yeah. We
you get the 2 at KO
we
here,
pretty much,
fortunately.
I don't want to say we have this in the bag, but so long as he doesn't add Mits, because he actually has Mr. Mime, which is why we still have Hitmonchan on here. Otherwise, we'd be full sending this with Doug Trio. But there is a possibility of seeing Mr. Mime on here for whatever reason. But thankfully, we have not seen it. Then, at worst, we can hope to have a non-Mr. Mime added to the bench. Never mind, we won.
Nice. Yeah, well done. So after this, we'll be fighting against Aaron, who's a lab technician that is designed to be like an early game, like, hey, you're just learning Pokemon, you can practice against me kind of battle. He has 3 different decks, all of which have 2 different like complementary types that are relatively challenging to deal with. Actually, right before Aaron, we need to talk to this NPC who gives us a Mewtwo. You'll see Mewtwo a lot more later on. But yeah, Aaron can be a particularly challenging set of splits just because of the 3 completely different decks you have to battle in quick succession, basically.
And with this, you kind of have to more or less like... The problem is because you have 3 different dual type decks you contend with, you essentially have to find a way to construct a single deck that can deal with literally everything that he has. And I don't know if I can say we found a solution. That's going to be ugly. I don't know if the Trio Hitmonchan is the solution. I know Welsh RTA, who his play style of running this game is go hyper aggressive and be very reset heavy, is to essentially just go I think only Hitmonchan, and which is fine and all, but it's gonna require a lot of resets, and the Trio still has the potential to do a lot of damage.
Right. Yeah. The routing and challenging in this game is very much, especially in all battles relative to category, is very much not settled. We have not like definitively proven what the best route is here. Oh no, we need double tails here to survive.
Yeah, nope.
Or at least one tails.
How's about double heads?
Double heads, great, perfect. Yes, what could go wrong? But yes, so there's all kinds of trade-offs you can make in your routing. A more marathon safe routing will rely on like more durable Pokemon and setting them up like Doug Trio, whereas maybe somebody more aggressively gunning for the world record will be able to try a higher risk, high reward strategy like the Hitmonchan thing. Welsh RTA, one of the other very notable players in this category, is very, very fond of grinding the game and very fond of like reset until the battle's absolutely perfect, and that allows him to achieve times that no one else has achieved in this category, but at the cost. That's not necessarily a very fun marathon experience, especially because the variance can be so high. So going with slightly safer strats like Toronite's doing, creates a little bit more presentable of a set of battles here. Oh, nice. plus power on the special punch to get the 50 HP for the knockout, and we have survived one of the 3 Aaron fights. 2 more to go.
And this particular set of fights is a very tough one to contend with in terms of you want to like get a PB or go for world record. This is a very tough split because it's a fight that you can at best hope for. Ooh, I can get a quick KO right now.
Yeah, you got a dub here. Yeah, with 2 plus power plus the jabs, 20 damage. This is a 1-hit KO on Poliwag. Very nice. But yeah, the high variance in this fight because specifically because Aaron doesn't cheat. You know, you could have a one-on-one, 1-hit KO kind of situation like we basically have here, or you can have a very long, drawn-out fight. So it's another one of those fights that could take either 30 seconds or 2.5 minutes, and then multiply that by 3, and you literally have 5 or 6 minutes of variance just from this one guy. So he can absolutely crush your PB attempt, depending on your luck.
Yeah, and one thing, the challenging thing about Aaron is that he has, as opposed to every single other trainer in this game, where you only have to do like, you want to fight? Yes, it's only once. But in this game, but with Aaron, he asks you twice. Where he asks you, do you want to fight him? Okay, which deck? Are you sure you want to fight him with this deck? And it becomes like very annoying. You kind of just saw me right now when selecting this specific deck and basically being like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot to hit yes again. So.
Right, yeah, the menuing in this game is so fast and repeatable for a lot of the time that it becomes very easy when somebody has a slightly different like set of dialogue to make some misclicks.
I
like to think.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Someone just in chat asked, are the dual computers also part of all battles? No. The reason why is 1, they are post game, and 2, it's already fighting opponents that you have already fought before. You don't get any new opponents with the dual computer.
Right, so they're not unique battles. Speaking of not unique battles, we're about to enter the Challenge Cup, an optional side mode in the game. Can get you some promo cards. Because the Ronald at the end of the Challenge Cup has a unique deck, we have to do it at least once in the All Battles category. And what will happen here is we're going to see Toronite play against 2 battles that he may or may not have already completed during the speed run. These don't count toward the completion of the All Battles requirement to prevent RNG situations. But we need to battle these 2 other randomly picked trainers first. That's actually why Toro ran up to the side to try to see who he's going to fight, because depending on who's there, he might have wanted to edit his deck. But battling 3 different trainers in quick succession, one of which is a Ronald with a unique deck, is another high variance part of this speed run.
Yeah, and the thing about this is that it kind of forces you to kind of, oh, that's a reset. I saw Zapdos in there.
Oof, yeah. Zapdos is very painful, unfortunately, for this.
Brandon, you cooperated so well earlier in the run. You were a 44-second fight. Don't start to get good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very frustrating when you're like, oh yes, this battle was very trivial before, and now is very difficult, especially because you have this very long dialogue you have to reset through. There's a full bench on the other side too, so this is 4 prizes at best, but luckily no Zapdos yet, knock on wood. So hopefully these are quick KOs. We've got the double plus power 1-hit against Magnemite. That's a nice swag strat. Eevee has the stalling attack here. If heads won't be able to attack, look, we got tails. So this should be pretty smooth sailing, hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
And we got the trio, so we can even get out of status. Pretty much everything is coming up Millhouse here, so. All right.
And I don't even have to evolve right this second because, fun little fact for those of you who don't know, paralysis or a status condition, any status condition your Pokemon has, it automatically is cured when you evolve. So that is one thing that sometimes you see runners do, is that they will purposefully not evolve their Pokemon, even though they would have more HP or would have more a stronger attack, is because Joshua. That's the jacket.
Ooh, Josh, yes. Yeah, he was a little bit nasty before. Again, has the second most basics of any trainer in the game, so potentially large time loss here if we don't get lucky and play with good skill. So we're switching to an Electabuzz deck to really maximize our chances of a fast fight here. Fortunately, we have a few more trainer cards than last time and a bit more swag, hopefully, so we should be able to take care of Joshua real quick. We'll see.
but yeah, the so sometimes you kind of put a bow on the point I was mentioning. Sometimes we don't evolve, only just so that we can try to see if we get hit with status later on. Then we can kind of have that evolution into our pockets, and we don't have to worry about trying to draw a full heal in the at that particular moment.
Yep, that is good to know. So something we fortunately it doesn't look like we're seeing status here, which is nice. Pardon me, sir. Yeah, no Krabby and no status. Even though this is 3 prizes, this is pretty fast for Joshua, so we're not too worried about the outcome here. Something you may have noticed in particular with these Electabuzz battles one-on-one, I don't think we mentioned it yet. In the real card game, when you don't draw a basic Pokemon to start the game, you get a mulligan, but your opponent draws extra cards, so it's pretty bad because your opponent has access to more and more resources. However, in the video game, they didn't implement that. When you start without a basic Pokemon, you're allowed to redraw your hand over and over and over and over again until you find one, and your opponent gets no benefit for that at all. So that is what enables pretty much all of our strategies to have a single evolution line all of the time. Because that way we can guarantee we have the exact Pokemon we want for every battle, and there's really no downside other than some time loss for reshuffling. Here we're going with Dugong because Ronald 2 has some pretty strong fire types, including Magmar, and so Dugong's ability to do good general damage, but also deal with Magmar in one hit is really important here.
We are starting off... Okay, Double Geodude is actually pretty fine. And Grimer could be potentially annoying if only... And there's the Grimer has... or this version of Ronald actually has Monk, and he will happily put the Monk in play if need be. So the interesting thing will be... The thing about this version of Ronald, and I actually argue this is the strongest version of Ronald in this entire game, even compared to the quote-unquote strongest version of Ronald, is because he has a lot of Pokemon that not only are annoying, but also are Pokemon that beautiful Dugong. A lot of Pokemon perfect. Is really tough to match up against because he has a lot of different types that actually match up, that actually synergize decently well, not dramatically, but like enough to where it can be a real annoyance. In my early time in this category, we're gonna rip that. Grimer, not Grimer. I actually used to do this fight with only Dugtrio, because Dugtrio will take care of everything. But the problem is Scyther and Muk does have the potential to do a lot of damage against Dugtrio. And it can even one-hit KO if you're not careful. So I tried to kind of figure out a strategy and thinking like, okay, what's a Pokemon that can do a lot of damage, has pretty good HP, and we can safely bet that we're probably going to have multiple copies of throughout the run. And I came to the conclusion Dugong is, I wouldn't say a perfect solution, but it is a pretty good solution in my opinion.
All right, up next, we have a very silly battle coming up against the game's hardest boss. And by hardest, I mean easiest. And by boss, I mean, that's Toro's opinion. We have a very special character, truly the Tingle of the Pokemon trading game universe. We have Imakuni. He is a real-life human being that has like some tangential relation to the card game in Japan, dresses up in a very weird suit, has a trainer card with his own picture on it that confuses his own Pokemon. He is a very weird guy. But when we take care of him, he has a unique deck, and he also happens to give us one of every booster pack.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Confused himself.
Okay,
hell yeah.
Okay, I know we're doing this big run. We have to read this. This is Imakuni.
Oh, yes.
This is the flavor text. Your active Pokemon is now confused. Imakuni wants you to play him as a basic Pokemon, but you can't. A mysterious creature not listed in the Pokedex. He asks kids around the world, who is cuter, Pikachu or me? That is legit the flavor text of this card. It's amazing. I love it. And the AI is programmed to always automatically play that card the moment he draws it into his hand. I'm not even kidding. He will actively always hurt himself.
Yeah, it is perhaps the silliest AI in the entire game, for sure. Ooh. Item finding here, using the strat to get the plus power to get another KO before evolving Abra here. That's some slick strategizing coming from Toronite, especially because he already had a Professor Oak, so being able to take that extra card that he wasn't going to use anyway.
He got a second
and use
Imakuni.
it.
That's amazing.
A second Imakuni. My God, I have not seen a 2 Imakuni fight in forever.
Yeah, same. By the way, there's a fun little detail about the Imakuni. Okay, the way confusion works in this is that when you get hit with a 3 Imakuni,
a third Imakuni. Oh my God, this is unprecedented.
Literally have never seen that in my life. 3 Imakunis is amazing. Okay, the way this game works, the way this game works with confusion is that when you are that gave us
and a comp search.
This was the ideal Imakuni fight. The ideal Imakuni fight.
For sure.
The way confusion works is if you are confused, you have to flip a coin in order to either retreat or attack. If you fail the coin flip, you get hit with the equivalent of 20 damage, as if a 20 damage attack from the same type that you are. Psychic is weak to psychic in most cases. What happens if you have only a 40 HP Pokemon that is weak to psychic? You know what? I'm actually gonna reset this because
Right. So there's a Slowpoke in the Imakuni battle. You can have a turn 1. You can have a turn 0 win where literally you do not get to play or do a single thing. Where he starts with a Slowpoke, confuses himself, then attacks himself and knocks himself out. It's truly spectacular if you get to see it. It is the luckiest possible outcome, and it's the only fight in the game that you can win with literally no intervention whatsoever on turn 0.
Yeah, it's one of the, and I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, I think world record of the Imakuni percent speedrun does this. Actually happens to have a turn 0
It's
win.
essentially impossible to get the Imakuni. There's Imakuni percent is where you race from the start of a save file. It's like a category extension. Race from the start of a save file to get the Imakuni promo card, which you get from beating him 3 times. It's about a 3 to 4 minute speed run. It's a fun, bonus category. The category has gotten so competitive that it is essentially impossible to get the world record in that category without getting one of these lucky turn 0 win fights. When I briefly held the record, I had one. I think Welsh has it now, I believe, and has that record, if I remember correctly. But beating me by at least 30 seconds at this point, I'm sure. So hotly contested, one of the most difficult records to get in the game.
The funny thing is that I remember the mini Imakuni arc that this community was in, where last year, I think it was either last year or late last year, and you were basically like, okay, I'm just gonna try out Imakuni, whatever, and then you got world record, and then you like, wow, this is incredible. And I was watching that you play Imakuni, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is fun. I've never actually tried Imakuni percent. I get third place on leaderboard on that the very next day, and then a month later we get a new second place. So it was a fun time. But yeah, now that we got our 6th medal, and we're kind of right around the hour mark, now's actually a pretty good time to take a good little break.
Perfect. Yeah, so during these longer runs, everybody, we like to take breaks every hour or so, just so everybody can get up, stretch, get some water, anything y'all need to do. Just a quick reminder before we go to our break. GDQ's next all-women and femme speedrunning event, Frost Fatales 2025, will be live from March 9th through 16th, benefiting the National Women's Law Center. You can visit gamesdonequick.com/framefatales for more information on the event, or you can use !FF in Twitch chat to check out the schedule. With all that said, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with the rest of the game. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. Today, we're showcasing some Mario and Pokemon games. We are in the middle of a Pokemon TCG run. I'll hand it right back over to you whenever you're ready. If you just want to give a quick 3, 2, 1 countdown.
All right. Hello. Welcome back, everybody. We are back at it with Pokemon TCG. We are kind of about 2/3 of the way done, and let's just get the ball rolling with our with the rest of the run in 3, 2, 1, and go. So, all right. So we got our 6th medal. There's only 2 left, but we have quite a lot of fights still left to go. Mostly like NPCs, but thankfully with this, we're going to take a quick detour to the Grass Club, and we're going up against Brittany, who essentially is this game's version of, what do we have? An Island of Misfit Toys type of deck. She has one of every single Pokemon type in this deck, into her deck. So there's a lot of potential, lengthy fights because of just how annoying she can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 1/3 of her deck being basics absolutely wrecks things as well. Unfortunately, the one kind of Pokemon that she doesn't really have are colorless types, those that resist Psychic. So the general 50 damage that Kadabra can do does a pretty good job in this fight. As the only Pokemon with more than 50 HP are Fossil Magmar, Nidoran Female, and Jinx, and 2 of the 3 are weak to Psychic, so that'll work, basically.
Now, we are still in a bit of a pickle because I think she has Pokemon that have the ability to knock me out. Ooh, Pikachu. Actually, this works out well. Because I don't think she's going to be able to attack me to do a ton of damage, so hope.
Right. And Kadabra is unique in that if you're absolutely desperate, it does have the ability to recover its own hit points if necessary. So there is an out there. It's kind of ugly and waste time, but it can be done. Very, very occasionally in a speedrun will you actually see recover get used. Smart use of Gust of Wind here to get around the Caterpie's defender in order to make sure that KO would happen in that turn and that the AI did not get another chance. It's the kind of quick thinking you like to see. Up next, we have a couple more fights in the Science Gym against Eric and David. Pretty similar to Rick in terms of these poison types that are weak to Psychic or at least not resistant to it.
All right, now I want to congratulate Chad on giving me some actually really good answers. In terms of why is Jinx in the Blistering Pokemon deck? You actually made some really good points. Explain to me how Meowth and Farfetch'd are in a lovely Nidoran deck. I dare you all to actually figure that one out.
I guess they're the lovely half. I don't know. Meowth is like a trickster, though, so not a very lovely Pokemon to me. It's a very, very mean Pokemon.
I mean, it's a cat. Everyone loves cats, though.
That is true. Yes.
Okay, someone tell me what's lovely about Farfetch. Like, I want the Farfetch defenders to go.
Oh, we need a Tails here. Ooh, dodge the bullet.
Lovely.
Would have been a one-hit KO otherwise. Yep. All right, but yes, Farfetch'd is lovely in that he's cute and unique and has never been competitively relevant.
I will say, Surfetch. I mean, that's an absolute unit right there.
Yeah, Surfetch was a much-needed evolution. Yeah, for sure.
All right, now here comes the reason why we need we need to get a Mewtwo, and there's a defender, and there's a couple of good trainer cards that right there. So okay, so Mewtwo. The reason why Mewtwo is such a good card for these next 2 fights is because Mewtwo has a lot of high damage potential that we unfortunately are not going to get.
High damage potential and specifically fast.
Yes.
We were not able to set it up this battle, but Mewtwo has a 1 energy attack that can take energy from the discard pile, attach it directly to Mewtwo, allowing Mewtwo to attack potentially on turn 2. It didn't work out this time because we didn't have any way to discard energy cards, but if that happens, it allows us to get started 1 turn sooner with Mewtwo, which can make a huge difference in these kind of like tempo and momentum fights that we have now, and also against Mitch, the fighting type, coming up soon. So Mewtwo is a potential like slightly higher risk but very high reward Pokemon to play with when you need a Psychic type, and you don't have to rely on an evolution or a 30 HP basic like you do with the Kadabra strats.
Yeah, and the thing is about it, especially with the next fight that we actually have coming up, Abracadabra is pretty good. The problem with this next fight that we have coming up, which is Mitch, the fighting type leader, is the fact that there's a lot of potential for you to lose on turn 1 because of the fact that Abra only has 30 HP. And a lot of Mitch's Pokemon can inflict 20 damage, and he has plus power and will liberally use that. So it can be quite annoying.
Yep, for sure. Mitch's high damage potential actually makes it a very challenging fight. Basically, no matter what you do, you could pick a Pokemon with fighting resistance like Articuno and Scyther, but the damage output is just a little bit lower. You don't get the one-hit KOs, so it's kind of a like safe but slow strategy when we're going all speed here. You know, we're trying to go as fast as we can using Mewtwo, which is generally the most popular way to handle Mitch, because we can just reset out of the battles that don't work quite as well. We don't have a setup here, but we are going at turn 1, so we fortunately only have to take 2 hits from Machop before we kill him. And we have energy removal, so hopefully that works out in our favor. We'll see.
Let's see. And the hope here is, ooh, that's...
that plus power is really brutal, because now 20 HP from being knocked out. We need some way to heal, really, for this to work. I don't know if this is...
we just gotta
see what happens with the energy.
If he breaks or gets Minky out, or nope. Nope, that's a reset.
Nope.
Wow,
that's no good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's guaranteed to not break at that point, actually, because he'd only seen one of his 2 basics, so his next card was an energy.
And okay, finally.
But it's hard to remember that kind of thing.
Finally, this is the...
We got 1 on 4, but we have a setup here. So Professor Oak lets us discard our whole hand, which in this case is great, because now we get those psychic energy attached directly to Mewtwo. And now Hitmonchan is running scared. In fact, the AI recognizes that it's about to get knocked out and doesn't even attach energy to Hitmonchan, which saves even more damage on Mewtwo. Because the AI's reluctance to do chip damage of a Pokemon that's about to die will allow for Mewtwo to not have to take as many hits. And in any fight with the fighting gym, when you don't have a resistance, reducing damage is super, super important. Luckily, we have defenders and potions to hopefully slow us down a little bit here. A Hitmonchan on the bench there, or Hitmonlee, actually. We don't have to worry about Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee takes 3 energy to attack the active Pokemon, so Hitmonlee is actually the most favorable matchup in this gym for us. And see, when everything goes well, you can have like a 15, 30-second Mitch fight just like that. You just kind of need the perfect circumstances to do so.
And part of the reason is we also leave Mitch pretty late is that by this point in the game, we'll have plenty of cards that will allow us to discard our hand, or at least get rid of a couple of cards, in order to be able to hopefully get that turn 2 attack strategy working.
So we got a couple more fights left to go. There's 1 gym leader, but we also have, I think, 7 more minion fights to go as well. Right now we're battling Robert and Daniel from the Psychic Gym. Robert has a ghost deck with a lot of low HP Pokemon, but no weaknesses. So we just use a fire deck here. Because all these fire Pokemon can do 30 damage on turn 2, or even 20 damage on turn 1 in certain circumstances.
Ooh, this is a
Ponyta.
Pretty good.
So hopefully we're able to get some nice damage here. Oh, nice 20 damage here.
If I had a
3-hit KO unless we get a plus.
unfortunately, don't have the plus power, but that's actually still a pretty good start. Ghastly, it can be Well, Ghastly itself can be problematic because it can put you to sleep. But this is not that version. It has.
This is the 50 HP Ghastly, yeah. But this one can lick status paralyze you over and over, which would be very bad. It's a little bit like a mini Lickitung, which we don't like. But you do have a full heal, I think, right?
I have two.
Yeah, you have two.
Actually, no. Technically,
Nice.
I have three because Item Finder. For those who don't know, Item Finder, what it does is that it you discard 2 cards and you can put back into your hand one one trainer card into your hand. So technically speaking, you can make it so that you are working. You have an extra of whatever copy of trainer cards you have in your hand.
Right. Yeah, Computer Search and Item Finder are the 2 rare trainer cards that we care about in the speedrun. It's very high variance whether or not you'll get any of them at all, not to mention multiples. And fortunately, we've been able to get both. Comp Search, discard 2 to get any card from your deck. Item Finder is the same, but with the trainer cards in your discard pile. Functionally, you're usually looking for a trainer card with both of them. So that's a handy way to get more plays out of fewer copies of a card, which is something you'll have to do if you don't get 4+ power or whatever. So it's very, very handy having to have options with either of them. And that's Robert, the ghost type battle, I guess.
Yeah, and
so Daniel is a bit of a sleep deck, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Daniel is the sleep deck. He also has Paris, which means there is the potential for a 1-turn win. Unfortunately, we did not get that. Actually, here's what we can do. I can use Pokeball and this. That's fine.
Yeah, just take the fight you got, I think.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't go to sleep.
I do have full heal, but I don't want to use it now because there's going to... Okay, perfect.
Nice, that works.
Actually, Jigglypuff is the bigger threat. Paris is not a threat. I can...
Right, yeah, Paris, you want to make sure there's damage on Wigglytuff in case it evolves, which I guess it did. Wigglytuff is a very powerful Pokemon that does more damage proportionally based on whether or not attacks. Rapidash is relatively rarely seen in the speed run, but it does the same damage as Ponyta with 2 big advantages. One is free retreat, and the other is that if you flip heads on Rapidash's attack, it prevents everything the opponent does to Rapidash from happening, including status, which is really, really handy for this fight. Unfortunately, I haven't been hitting heads with them, but we have been doing solid enough damage, and the rest of the Pokemon are relatively weak, so as long as we get some lucky coin flips here or there, which commentators curse again.
Don't worry. Earlier today, I was streaming a practice of this, and I'm thinking, and against this fight, I had a 4-minute fight. Oh, perfect. Plus power. That actually.
Comp search. That's something. Yeah.
Where's my filter? There we go. So the thing with this fight, I had. So Ghastly needs a coin flip to go his way in order for me to fall asleep, and I need a coin flip for me to wake up from sleep.
Right, so there's only a 1 in 4 chance that your attack's actually prevented against Ghastly, fortunately.
So this happened for 11 straight coin flips where I got the unfavorable result, and it resulted in a 4-minute split in this fight.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, it was the worst. It was,
the RNG in this game can be absolutely brutal with chaining coin flips together and stuff like that. It truly is, you know, high variance and random, and there's no balancing of making sure you only get a certain number of heads in a row or anything like that. Anything's possible.
Perfect. Turn 1 win.
Ooh, turn 1 win here against Kristen. This is exactly why we run Ponyta on double colorless, because Ponyta is the only Pokemon that can do 20 damage on turn 1, which lets us have these chances at quick fights. Especially when we're speedrunning for a world record, we want to maximize our chances of getting lucky, basically. We want to be able to have opportunities for the game to give us free wins. We could have consistent fights that take longer, or we can do these, you know, high variance fights. And Ponyta is definitely one of those strategies, though. Ponyta can definitely hold his own in a longer fight, too.
And also,
Nikki,
because of the fact that, you know, we have computer search, we have several ways to draw cards into our hand. I felt, you know, I feel really, really good about my odds of having actually getting this
right
again.
And when you're dealing with these gym leaders and trainers that have statusing Pokemon, being able to get quick KOs on the ones that do status can save you more turns than you think, right? Because you're actually doing quite a lot to the Pokemon.
Actually, no, this is fine because I have
oh, yeah, the fossil.
No,
lord.
I have comp search, so I can go for a. And that is what makes computer search so good. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, there are a lot of different card games out there, but I think it's fair to say that, you know, if I give you this effect, you'll tell me, oh yeah, no, this is insanely overpowered. Search literally any card you want in the deck and add it to your hand. All you gotta do is discard 2 cards. So that alone is like, I don't know how it is in modern TCG if computer search is even a card.
Oh, it's not a card. It is definitely not a thing that you can play. Certainly not as a play as many as you want trainer.
Yeah.
In base fossil, in like the competitive metagame for this, like with human beings, computer search is a little bit more balanced than it looks, just because like every trainer in the game is so overpowered, they kind of like cancel each other out a little bit. And so it becomes a game of attrition where like the 2 cards you lose from your hand actually is a really significant cost, as well as making your deck smaller, where keeping cards in your deck really matters. Like resource control in high level base fossil is actually very interesting. It has nothing to do with the speedrun, but computer search is super powerful for speedrunning and for aggro strategies because it just gets you the card you exactly need whenever you need it. Very powerful tutoring effect with very little downside for us, since so much of our deck is filler anyway.
And also, it's also a way for it's also another potential way for the Mewtwo strat against Mitch to work. This will be interesting. Okay, we are good for now. So my hope here is that I don't get Rampage. Wait, really? Rampage? I mean, I guess you get the guaranteed 30. I guess that is. So what is... Okay, nothing else is set up. Or at least the second Tortoise is set up. And I don't remember if he has double colorless. He does not. So we are... Okay, no, we're in the clear. Should be in the clear. This...
Yeah, we've actually...
Oh, no, yeah. You know, I was about to say, like, This segment is a little awkward because the fire segment has so John is the anger deck, which is a lot of Pokemon that express anger and stuff like Tauros and Dodrio and Raticate, which can be like especially annoying. Adam is your prototypical fire deck, which he's actually the easiest out of the bunch because it's not often he actually puts out a lot of Pokemon to begin with. He actually bricks a lot. Like, see, for example, like he didn't even get an extra Pokemon when a lot of NPCs do. And then we got Jonathan afterwards, which is kind of weird. He has something called a reshuffle deck, which basically is a lot of not stalling per se, but definitely a lot of moving your Pokemon around, taking out your energies and stuff. And it can be quite annoying. And a lot of Pokemon that aren't actually fire types, but it can be quite the ordeal sometimes.
Yep, indeed. Yeah, so we've actually beaten all 8 club leaders, so nothing stops us from beating the game here, but we do have these last few fire-type gym battles that we need to fight. We're about to go into the Pokemon Dome, where we'll battle 4 different trainers based on the 3 legendary birds and Dragonite. And the first battle is against a fire deck, so by saving these optional firefights for the end, we can kind of use the same water deck for all 4 of these battles. So that's part of why we're doing a little bit of cleanup here on our pseudo 100% category, basically. So
where is my
just in case you were wondering,
where is Dugong? There's 3 of you in the deck.
Allegedly.
There we go.
I thought you only had 2.
I have 3.
Yeah.
I have 3.
Oh, cool. You got another at some point, yeah. I keep forgetting there's like extra Coliseum packs in this category, so you'll just find more stuff later. The way we play any percent glitchless routing, you basically get all of the Coliseum packs you'll ever get in the first 10 minutes of the speedrun. So you have a very good idea what like 80% of your card pool will be very early on, and that makes planning easier. But with all battles, you don't have that luxury because Coliseum packs are handed out all the time. There's the upside if you get more good cards, but you just don't, you have to keep more and more track of your inventory over time. It's another skill set.
Yeah, this one in particular, the reshuffle deck, this is one of those fights where if you don't have a way to at least try and search for Dugong, it's kind of, you might as well just reset because there's a lot of Pokemon. There's hardly any Pokemon on here that is weak to water. But again, we go for the Dugong Strike because it's very high power. It can do a lot of damage and has 80 HP, which is quite a lot at this point in the game. So thankfully, we have a computer search, meaning that we have what we need in order to win. This and this, and where's Dugong? There we are.
There we go.
Pretty deep deck. What else do you have?
Oh, nice. Yep, got that clutch KO of that first Lickitung. That was second Lickitung is here.
Oh, great.
And unfortunately, because Lickitung has 90 hit points, you can't even paralyze it back without risking a 3-hit KO, so you have to just hope we don't get paralyzed here. Lickitung, in the competitive base fossil metagame, Lickitung is perhaps the single best Pokemon, being such a high HP basic that can paralyze for 1 energy, and is like a reason that stalling strategies are so prevalent in early Pokemon battling. In early trading card gameplay. It is perhaps the single most annoying Pokemon we face in the speedrun for very similar reasons. I mean, actually, there's a lot of contenders for most annoying Pokemon.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's quite a lot. Lapras, I would argue, is up there. Lapras is...
Lapras, yeah, you got Promo Zapdos, for sure. All kinds of different difficult creatures to deal with.
Base set Articuno is also a very tough card to go up against.
Oh, for sure. Or Fossil Articuno, yeah.
Whoa, second comm search. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, that late Coliseum pack means that you can get some very, very handy things right before the Dome. Having more comm search give you even more deck control right before the hardest fights in the game makes tons of sense. Up next, we're going to be battling Courtney. This is the Moltres-based fire deck. Courtney actually has a pretty high damage output relative to the other gym leaders. Quick explanation on the legendary birds here. Each of the gym leaders plays with one of the special promotional legendary birds, all of which have an RNG-based on-play Pokemon power. Moltres, for example, will like grab a random number of energy cards from the deck. Actually, the most harmless of them. The difference in mechanics, if you remember the cheating mechanic that we talked about earlier, where gym leaders always have 2 basic Pokemon or more in their starting hand, and then they always have up to 2 more in the next 5 cards they draw. So you can actually tell if a gym leader has one of these legendary birds if the tell you'll want to see is if you see no Pokemon on the opponent's bench, then you know that the other basic that the gym leader or that the Grandmaster had is a legendary bird they're going to play on the next turn, which can be good or bad. In this fight, it's actually good because playing a Moltres will shuffle the deck and thus remove the cheating that the AI just did. But for the other 2 battles, those on-play effects of Articuno and Zapdos can both be very annoying. We'll talk about those in just a minute. But first, we're making very quick work of this battle just using Water type for type advantage. All of the legendary birds have no weaknesses, by the way, so there won't be any type advantage, so we just want high base damage. Very, very fast.
Yeah, that was
here.
that was 149.
That is absolutely incredible. You do not see Courtney. Like, Courtney is one of the most frustrating fights in the game and has a lot of variance because of the high damage that various Pokemon can do. Courtney has a Pokemon that literally flips a coin 8 times with a single attack, which is a full like 30 to 40 second time loss every single time it gets that attack off. But we face none of that here, which is very nice.
And also, she is not the hardest of the Grandmasters, but she is the most punishing to reset, because when you reset, you have to basically see the little unskippable cutscene where you have every. Ooh, this is quite annoying.
Oh, this is real bad.
You lose like 10 seconds, or like I think it's like 10, 12 seconds every time you reset, like on top of what you already lost by resetting.
Right. So Steve here, the Lightning Club leader, not too much of a problem since lightning attacks are resisted by Dugtrio, except for Zapdos. Zapdos is a problem. There's 3 different kinds of Zapdos in this deck, but the promotional Zapdos is the real nuisance. When you play that Zapdos, it picks a random Pokemon on the field to do 30 damage to and ignores weakness and resistance. This can mean if that Zapdos is played turn 1, it can just one-hit KO your Diglett and immediately end the fight. There's lots that we can do to kind of circumvent this and play with the RNG, which we'll talk about if it comes up. But the variance caused by Steve just instantly randomly deciding he wins can be a huge problem sometimes. And of course, the high HP legendary birds. Dugtrio's Earthquake attack, which does 70 base, even though it's resisted by legendary birds, it still does 40 damage, which is still a 3-hit KO, and it's not too bad. So, you know, you have to decide, do you want to play these fights with Dugong, where you do 50 damage unless you have a 2 or 3 hit KO on normal types, or do you want to play with Dugtrio, where you get the 1-hit KO on colorless types, but more trouble with the birds. Dugtrio is generally the slightly more optimal, higher risk strategy. So you'll see Toronite stick with Dugtrio for the rest of this run here.
This has been an exceptional start to the Pokemon Dome, by the way.
Yeah, these were 2 incredibly fast Dome fights. We have not really had time to explain the nuances of any of these. And it looks like you are in a position here where, cross our fingers.
Knock on every form of wood there is. Wait, oh my God.
I'm knocking on everything in my room. Oh my God, this is a 3-turn. This might be this is currently on pace for the fastest Dome ever completed. Like, I almost guarantee it. We'll see what happens. There are 2 more fights to go. Rod is the leader of the Grandmasters, but he has the easiest deck because he has a Dragonite base deck, and Dragonite is not a basic Pokemon, so you have a lot of like low energy basics here. There's still Lapras and Kangaskhan are the 2 big things you want to worry about here, and if you see them, generally it's like but you know, potentially, but otherwise it's a lot of 30, 40, 50 HP Pokemon, and it looks like for some reason he's not powering up Lapras. So
that tells me he probably has an evolution. Or not? Or wait, no.
Rod makes no sense. Attempting to understand Rod does not help us. Fair. Do we have like a?
Actually, wait. Can we Pokeball? Okay, I don't even need to use comp.
Oh, nice. Yeah, free Dugtrio.
I can comp search for. Actually, no. I don't even need to comp search for a plus bar now.
You don't need to do it now. You can save it for later. You got time. Yeah. But now we're pretty much smooth sailing. It's a little bit slowed down by the Lapras, but we have, you know, a nice 4 prize here. That's still very solid for Rod. So hopefully, and just keep an energy removal to keep things off the bench. We saw Dratini there. The biggest threat is Dratini evolving into Dragonair, which makes it have 80 hit points and potentially do 60 damage with 3 energy. So we want to make sure Dratini never gets to 3 energy, which could prompt the evolution. So that's why you're seeing such an aggressive energy removal strategy from Toronite here, which is excellent because it's prevented this Dratini from evolving and thus potentially save like full minutes or the entire fight altogether. And this rod was a little bit longer than normal, but not too much. Probably only like 20 seconds of time loss over what you could expect. So we're still on pace for an absolutely incredible dome here. The last and final fight of the game is Ronald once more. It's not the hardest Ronald deck, as we have said, but it's a fire-based deck with a lot of different legendary birds, so a lot of potential to just lose time more than it is losing the actual battle. And you really need to get Dugtrio set up immediately. But fortunately, these comp searches keep coming in clutch, so we have guaranteed ways to get to Dugtrio with this deck, which is super, super helpful. If we top deck a plus power here, we're pretty much made. Couldn't fix it.
Okay, I'm getting rid of EV.
Oh, you get the KO of EV. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so you're still turn optimal right now. Because and there's one legendary bird, unfortunately.
That's fine. This is I'm fine with.
It just costs time. It doesn't really like cost you like losing the fight or anything like that.
Yeah. So okay, actually, we need. In case we actually don't have time to explain this, here's the gimmick with Ronald's deck. He has 2 copies of every single mega legendary promo that he has, which is Anointed Deal Whip. However, you'll notice that he does not have a single water or lightning energy in this entire deck, meaning that Pokemon such as Articuno and Zapdos can never attack. Once they are placed on the field, they are literally meat shields. And it's
absolutely
really fun.
Unfortunately, they're really good meat shields because they have 100 HP and they resist fighting.
Yeah.
But they are... So the big threat with Ronald is not really losing the fight outright, but just losing time. And facing 2 of the 6 possible legendary birds in here isn't great, but it's hard to do better than that against Ronald. It's really hard to get lucky against him. If we get a plus power or something, this might be a 1-hit. There we go. Oh, hey, manifested it right here. The commentator's curse in reverse right there. All right, Flareon can do 30 damage, but luckily it's a 1-hit KO, so we don't have too much to worry about here. One more KO, then we're very near the end of the run.
This is one of the fastest
will be running up
history. It's actually...
Yeah, I think it might be. I want to time this out when we're done. So all we got to do now is run to the end cutscene, click through some dialogue, and time will be when the screen flashes white after the 4th legendary card is drawn and a bit more text appears.
Wow.
So it's coming up in about 10-15 seconds.
This is unbelievable. This
might seriously, like, absolutely stellar play in the Dome here.
This is, at least for all battles, this is by far the fastest Dome segment in history. This is by far.
Yeah, you normally expect to spend at least 11 or 12 minutes in the Dome, and I think we spent 7.
And that's time.
And time.
Okay, we spent a little under 9 minutes, so it was an 8-something. It was a high 8 minutes. I think it's like right up.
Okay, yeah, the fastest Dome I think is 8:51 or something. So we're actually very, very close to a record there in our little subcategory.
I'd have to check because and I should know this because I'm the one that has the sub 9-minute Dome world record.
Right, I think my PB is like 8 minutes. There is 9 minutes 11 seconds or something like that. I'll have to look that up. We should really keep track of that. We should have a leaderboard for Dome times.
We keep discussing keeping track of community goals. This probably would have been the perfect time to see what it actually would be. Regardless, this is the fastest Dome segment in this category by far. We've had a few 9 minutes and a lot of 10 minutes, but I do not believe we've ever had an 8-minute Dome segment. So what a way to kind of cap off this run. The early game, pretty solid. Mid game, we kind of stumbled a little bit, but you know what? We turned it all the way back with the greatest Dome segment, final 5 fights. By the way, this was supposed to be the hardest fights in the game, and we cut through these like butter.
Right, we seriously had more trouble with like random minions putting you to sleep than we did with any of these fights. And not all of it is just good luck. It's a lot of good reactions from Toronite and knowing when to play the key trainers in order to escalate to specific cards, knowing what energy to remove to prevent evolutions. It was you all of the things need to line up to get a Dome like this. So it's very impressive to be able to see this happen live in this kind of setting.
Yeah, no, there's a concept that we in the TCG speedrunning community we like to call reset discipline. And that's something that you accumulate as you spend months and maybe even years kind of constructing, which is having the knowledge and the experience of knowing, okay, is this fight something that from the get-go, can I win this? Or rather, can I win this fast? And that's when we kind of make that split-second decision that Pinko was talking about and figure out, okay, am I gonna keep this? Am I gonna risk it? Or am I just going to reset the entire fight and hope for something better? And you kind of saw that a few times where at first it may have looked like, okay, this doesn't look too bad, but then I reset and we got something better. Or sometimes, luck of the draw, sometimes we got something worse and have to reset all over again. But thankfully in this one, Pinko, correct me, did we reset even one fight in the dome? I don't even know.
No, we did not. No, you just went straight through. The game sometimes just hands it to you. There's a lot of times when you need to reset, like you're not going to get your deck trio, or when the Zapdos knocks you out in 2 of those fights. Lots of things can cause resets, but all of those, it just the game kind of handed it to you. I'd love to see a dome like this on record pace from somebody, because that would potentially create an unbeatable PB.
The funny thing is, in this dome is like almost 6 minutes faster than my PB dome, which used to be world record. So this is a potential like you just kind of saw it right there. This is potentially as much as 6 minutes for me to save, which that alone is already enough for me to actually reclaim my world record, because world record is less than 3.5 minutes. So
right. Yeah, this category is definitely wide open for contenders like Toronite, even Welsh to get it. Potentially me, but I haven't played that much. Really any, but like it is so new and there's so much variance in each of these battles that if we're able to any one of us really is able to string together these time saves and like seize good opportunities and know exactly when to reset and when to hold, that we could potentially save like giant cuts off this world record. I'm sure it's at least 10-15 minutes away from the lowest it'll ever be. Like there is plenty of time saved to go here. So it's if you're thinking about running a game, it's a very exciting category to get into. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree. There is actually one fun little thing which we kind of referenced very early on, is the post game. There is technically 2 bits of things in the post game for us to do, which is this little thing called the dual computer. Someone had a question about that, if this is part of the all battles run. It is not. The reason being is because this dual computer basically is kind of like, think of it as the battle tower in like some of the main series games, where it's just a gauntlet of fights and you do not change your Pokemon, your team. Whatever you roll with at the start, that's what you're keeping with. And it's 5 fights. The way it works is first 3 fights are random NPCs. The 4th fight is a club master, and the 5th fight is a grandmaster. And so the fun thing is just kind of figuring out, just trying to see how high your score can be. You don't get any rewards for it, but it's a nice little thing to kind of test your viability against a bunch of different styles. And the other thing is that the Challenge Cup opens up at certain random points in the game, where if you win, you get a random promo card that you theoretically could have gone through in-game trades throughout this game or accomplishing certain tasks.
Well, the Challenge Cup in-game, the promo cards are fixed. It's the second, if you enter Challenge Cup after the 2nd gym, it's one. After a 5th gym, it's another. And then at the end game, Challenge Cup randomly starts or stops depending on various factors, and you get random promo cards there.
Yeah. So there's a fun little bits of things, and obviously there's still more cards for you to collect, trying to see what type of deck you'll build. And this was a lot of fun. I'm really ecstatic over how this end game went. Yadaran on another fellow runner, it was saying 5th fight can also be Imakuni. I did not know that. I did not know the 5th fight can also be Imakuni. So that's actually really fun. But yeah, this game has been featured on GDQ in a lot of different marathons over the past 18 months, especially because it got ported to the Nintendo Switch through the Switch Virtual Console back in August of 2023, which really opened up the viability of people wanting to run this game, and it's a lot of fun. As you saw, it's very simple. I would say the skill floor of this game is very low, meaning a lot of people can just go into it, but I believe that the skill ceiling is very high, and I think it's a very rewarding game for you to for you to grind and keep getting good paces. We've had a lot of new runners over the past year, and it's been fantastic seeing their progress go from from their initial times and go all the way to like contending for sub-hour on glitch lists. And we even had a runner that actually entered the top 10 after only like a couple of months entering the game, which is kind of goes to show that the potential for new runners to come in and have a great time. And listen, this game is fantastic. It's got great music.
Yeah, Toronite's being a little modest here because he's been running the game for a year and a half, basically, and is in like contention 2 years now, maybe, and is like in contention for records in every category. It's a great RPG if you wanted to run RPGs. Like, what other RPG can you run through the game in about an hour and not skip anything? Like it is a very fast-paced, quick thinking on your feet kind of speed run. It's not just going through motions. It's a lot of like puzzle solving, a lot of like fast twitch action. Which is weird to say about an RPG, but it's just a really compelling speed game that I hope more and more people consider. Feel free to join us on the Discord or on speedrun.com or whatever if you're interested in. We're happy to help new people learn anytime.
Yeah, and I and just kind of giving myself a bit of a self promo. I run this game. I was actually running this game earlier today as a bit of a practice. This run ended up being better than the practice run from earlier today by like a little over a minute, which is great. And so yeah, I run this game. I also run the Spyro trilogy, Spyro 1, Spyro 3, and then Reignited 1 and 3. And I also speedrun like a bunch of different like either Mario games or PS1 games, and just recently got into Pokemon Omega Ruby, which has been a lot of fun, which I got inspired to do so from the GDQ run from earlier this month. So yeah, you can follow me on Twitch at Toronite, and hopefully we get to see new runners in this game. It's, as Michael said, we are always happy to help out with anybody who wants to learn this category, and not just this category, but this is overall the game in general. There's a lot of different ways you can speedrun this game, all of which I would say is very much fun.
Yeah, and do you have any thing you want to shout out before we end here at PineCon?
Oh yeah, no, just I'm. Thanks everybody for hosting this game again. It's always a pleasure to show it off. If people want to join the Discord or anything to learn more about the game, we always support that. And if you want to see more people speedrun the game, you can either check out Toronite's channel or my channel, where we both constantly stream our attempts and practice and improvements in this game.
Awesome. And yeah, thank you both so much for being on, for showcasing the game. Like you said, it's nice to have an RPG where you can play it in an hour and a half and you're doing everything. So thank you so much for both of you for being on. Unfortunately, we do not have any more show for you tonight, but we do have more GDQ Hotfix coming up tomorrow. We got Perilous Paths, followed by Hidden Heroes, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you all there. Have a great night, everybody, and thanks again, everybody, for showcasing stuff today.
Yep, thank you. And from Pinecone, myself, and Bulbasaur, thank you so much for tuning in. You've been a fantastic crowd, and have a great rest of your evening, everybody.